You are on the SportsZone Chicago app, and this is the Barely pregame show with my co-host, Ivan Vargas. This is Mike Halatek. Ivan, what a difference 3 weeks make.
Yeah, it looked like the sky was falling 3 weeks ago. I felt like the Bears were kind of wandering like as a franchise, and now look where they are. It's kind of a shock.
I was just looking at Twitter, and Adam Schefter just posted about 20 minutes ago. I'm going to read this verbatim. In the eyes of some NFL executives, Mitchell Trubisky has played some of the best football of his career and has made a case as to why Chicago will need to consider re-signing him, especially if the Bears now advance to the playoffs. That's coming from a top source. That's pretty interesting to hear.
Yeah, and honestly, there's been murmurs about it, about bringing him back and seeing what he could do. Now that you've seen what a benefit actually game planning for Mitch or scheming for Mitch can be, and honestly, using the running backs, using the running game to help Mitch out as well. That's all part of scheming to help Mitch. And I think if you could find a guy, or if you get Matt Nagy, who seems to be more open and willing to be able to give a little bit of the reins, if you will. He gave up play calling to Bill Lazor, and that seemed to benefit things. Bill Lazor and Mitch Trubisky seem to have a real good relationship so far. So far we don't know. We're not in the locker room, but for me, I feel like it's almost a must at this point, because if you go ahead and you allow him to walk, and somebody uses this same formula on another team and they find success with Mitch Trubisky, man, will the people of Chicago be coming for some heads. I don't think you can allow, even with all his flaws, you can't allow him to just walk. Knowing the system, like you said, this current rise that he's been on, as well as the team, I don't think you can overlook that, and it'll be a huge mistake, I think, if they let him walk this offseason.
Absolutely. Take a look at what Mitch has done the last 2 weeks before we get into the recap of last week's game. The Bears have averaged 418 yards of offense in the last two games. The first couple of games he was a little rusty, and obviously we had to take that into consideration. But 418 yards per game of offense. They've averaged 184 yards per game rushing. They've rushed for 368 yards in just their last two games. And how significant is this? I did some homework before our Halatek Hall show on Wednesday evening. In the entire 7 games that Nick Foles started at quarterback, do you know how many yards they ran for? Just a guess. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. I want to say under 400.
So the Bears have run for 368 yards in their last 2 games. In the 7 games, Mitch Trubisky was the starting quarterback, and this is not a mistyped. They ran for the exact same 368 yards. How ridiculous. 7 games, 368 yards. 2 games, 368 yards under the revamped offense. Now that they're doing it well, so the offense has been balanced. They 169 yards, 267 yards passing against Houston, 199 yards versus 202 yards passing against Minnesota. They've scored 30 points in 3 consecutive games. You have to go all the way back to the days of Jay Cutler in weeks 2 through 4 of the 2013 season to find a Bears team that scored 30 points 3 consecutive weeks. And I believe they went 4 consecutive weeks into the year before in 2012.
Well, like I said, it's just a detriment to the coaching staff. Well, it's honestly on Matt Nagy. It's mainly on Matt Nagy's shoulders because you've seen the overhaul that they had with coaches last season. For me, you got rid of Jordan Howard. You drafted this guy in Montgomery. You talked him up about being a likeness to Kareem Hunt. You didn't use him. You wanted to use him only the way you wanted to use him, and if he couldn't be used that way, then he's not a good player. Like that's how I feel Matt Nagy sees his players. If you can't be used in my system, well, then I'm just going to have to go ahead and get rid of you. So in a sense, you're more likely to replace quality players because they don't necessarily fit your scheme as opposed to going ahead and scheming for your players. The thing is that Matt Nagy's done this way too often. Yesterday I was talking with Luke. The Bears have an opportunity now because the Cardinals did take a loss yesterday against the 49ers, and I'm happy because I pretty much called that 49ers victory. Run, and then let Kyler Murray try to beat you with his arm. It doesn't work that way. But luckily for the Bears, they're in a position where they control their own destiny. The thing is that I could still see them firing people. Like, don't get me wrong. Jim Caldwell for the Lions got fired after pretty much just keeping the Lions winning for the first time in God knows how long. And then you see Lovey. Lovey is my main point. Lovey Smith at 10-6 can be fired. If Lovey Smith can be fired, then so can Matt Nagy. There's no reason to sit here and try to nitpick why you should or shouldn't keep him. If Lovey could be fired, so can Matt Nagy. The teams at this point, I feel like they're a little bit. There's a little similarity, but because the defense was getting old, at the time that Lovey was pretty much on his way out. And this defense right now it's on that cusp of being up. You're over the hill, and now the defense is on a decline, while your offense is just sitting there, trying to tread water.
Defensively, you can restock defensively through the draft, and the Bears have to do that this year. The Bears have their 6 of their own draft choices. The only draft choice they don't have is a 4th-round pick. They are also going to get at least 3 or 4 compensatory picks. So you're looking at 10 draft picks. So they've got enough draft capital to maybe even trade down in the first couple of rounds to accumulate more draft capital and go after best player available. All too often, when we trade up, it's been kind of a disaster. It really has, except for Darnell Mooney. They traded up to get Darnell Mooney in this last draft, but they traded up to get Floyd. They traded up to get Mitch. Mitch all of a sudden has kind of turned his game around, so it'll be interesting to see if he can stack games where he's improving each and every week, or even if as long as he doesn't regress. The one thing that the Bears have in their favor now is they control their own destiny. Even if they lose against Green Bay on Sunday, as long as they win today, they can still get into the playoffs. Because Arizona has to play the Rams. And if San Francisco can beat the Cardinals, the Rams can beat the Cardinals too. But here's what we need to see happen today. I know there are some Bears faithful that will never, ever root for a Packers victory. But here's what we need. We need to win in Jacksonville. In the afternoon game, we need Seattle to lose. Then they're playing the Rams. And the Rams have been playing lights out, especially defensively, for the past several weeks. And the head coach for the Rams has had Seattle's number. They're 5-2 against Seattle since McVay has been the coach for the Rams. And then Sunday night game, we need the Packers to win. Why does that make sense? For the following reasons. If the Bears win All they need to do is win against Green Bay, and they're in, no matter what Arizona does. If Green Bay wins and Seattle loses, Green Bay now clinches the overall top seed in the NFC, and they will have a bye. And we talked about this on the Halitech Hall show on Wednesday night. I don't see a scenario where Aaron Rodgers is going to play in that game because they're going to want to save him for the playoffs. So that's all it takes. Now, if the Bears can now play Green Bay, a little with Green Bay being a little shorthanded, and their season's on the line, it's win and you're in. They don't have to worry about getting help from the Rams going to play Arizona the last week of the year. So that's what we're faced with going into today's games. Aside from Tampa just absolutely dismantling Detroit, what an embarrassment that was. Everything broke this weekend on Christmas Day with the Saints winning. Everything just broke right for the Bears this weekend. And if we get those three things happening today, it's going to be the best Christmas weekend a Bears fan could ever ask for. You're on mute.
Yeah, I would say it'd be a pleasant surprise after a 6-game losing streak. But, I want to go back to that point that I was making about who's going to be here, because we're talking about Mitch coming in. It's just a frustrating point because now that we're looking at the playoffs, you had a head coach who, because of his choosing, got you in a 6-game losing streak. Because his doing, he got you in a 6-game losing streak because he wanted to replace the quarterback. I don't think that's forgivable. I don't think you could forgive. You put your team in a tailspin. How do you forgive the head coach and expect guys to, some guys are saying, and they had Treshaun Gibson, which, they had him talking about how they want to play for Mitch. Some guys want to play for Nagy and such. I could kind of believe it. He did tread enough to get you out of the 6-game losing streak, but like patting yourself on the back for getting yourself out of a hole like you did that. Like that was your doing, Matt Nagy. So I can't really it irks me that this team's going to potentially make the playoffs, and there's going to be no accountability held. There really isn't. Matt Nagy's the one that put us in this position. And then now all of a sudden he wants to go ahead and defer his duties to somebody else. Am I supposed to expect that guys still respect him after that? I don't know. Maybe some, but for me, I can't see him sticking around.
If the Bears make the playoffs, they're not going to change anything in upper management. They're not going to change the head coach. They're not going to change the assistant coaches. They're not going to change Ryan Pace. The only thing that we might see is Ted Phillips resigning to save face, because it is what it is. His track record speaks for himself. If it wasn't for the fact that Ted Phillips endeared himself to the McCaskey family for getting the stadium rehab done back in the early 2000s, he probably would have been gone a long time ago too. So it'll be interesting to see what's going on. So this week we face the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars have lost 13 straight games, which is damn near impossible to do unless you're the Cleveland Browns or the Detroit Lions. But here we are. They beat the Colts in week 1, and the Colts are a playoff team. And then they've succeeded to go 0-13 over their last 14 games. And we have a surprise at quarterback for Jacksonville, Mike Glennon. Yes, that Mike Glennon, the Mike Glennon of the first 4 games of the 2017 season that led us to a disastrous start and started the quick start of the Trubisky campaign, is going to be the starting quarterback for the Jacksonville Jags.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be fun. I think the defense is going to be able. Guys, thank you. Sorry,
Hey, we're live.
yeah, we're over here live. Thanks, guys. But I think it's going to be fun for the defense. I think the defense is going to get after it. I think they're going to use him as a target. It's sorry to say, they're going to use him as a target, and it's going to be what it is. It's going to be a field day for the defensive line, the linebackers. I think the secondary is going to run to a few interceptions. I think Eddie's going to get a couple today, finally. And we talked about Eddie too. Eddie needs to come up and tackle, but in today's game with the lowly Jaguars, I think that everybody on that defense is going to, maybe not everybody, but majority of the guys on that defense are going to feast.
The inactives haven't come out yet, but the start running back for Jacksonville is not playing today. He has been ruled out. We still haven't seen inactives, and Robinson has been hampered by a hamstring, but he's expecting to play. And damn, he wants to play this game bad because Jacksonville's the team that drafted him and then wouldn't sign him. So it'll be interesting to see. But I would not be surprised if we see Mooney get the majority of the targets at wide receiver because of that hamstring problem.
Yeah, I like Darnell Mooney so much, man. He broke a rookie record. Or was it rookie record? I believe last week. He's just week in and week out. You're excited to see what he could do, and he's just learning. His first year. It just seems like he's absorbing everything. He plays like he belongs. I'll say that. His route running, his aggressiveness when he catches the ball, just how he carries himself on the football field, I'm impressed with. And when he speaks, he doesn't. When he speaks, it's mainly about getting better and being great. When you hear Darnell Mooney talk, so for me, I feel Darnell in this game because of those reasons. I think he's gonna shine. I think this, even though it's a bad Jaguars team, I think Darnell Mooney is going to be targeted a lot, and he's going to catch a lot of footballs and get a lot of yards today. Touchdowns, I don't know, but I think he's going to have over 140 yards today.
I hope so. And, of course, Montgomery has been on a tear. The running game has been on a tear. They ran for 169 yards as a team against Houston. They almost hit the 200-yard mark by running for 199 against Minnesota. So in Jacksonville, I think is the 30th team in defense on rushing in terms of yards allowed. So I expect to see Montgomery have a good game as well.
I would hope so. Keep Monty on fire. Keep him warm. Keep him going, because it's going to benefit this team if they do make the playoffs. Like I said, things still have to happen, although they do control their own destiny by just winning. You can't stray away from that. You can't stray away from the running game. You can't stray away from David Montgomery. 32 times. I haven't seen a running back do that in years, and for the Bears at least. And all of a sudden, there's a thought in my mind that, man, maybe they're going to go and try to use some other guys. Maybe they're going to not focus on David Montgomery like they should. And I think that'd be terrible. That would be regression. David Montgomery has done everything he possibly can to earn that number one, bell cow role. Like he doesn't quit. He's tenacious. I call him a Tasmanian devil, because he's out there and he's just boom, 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 gone. He's here, he's there. Then he's cutting back, and he's amazing to watch. It's fun to watch David Montgomery once he gets into the second level and starts breaking off tackles and making moves in space. He can get slim quick, and then he can take off on you. Like he's an exceptional running back at this point in my mind. I think David Montgomery is going to be a real good one.
I think so. And what has impressed me the most with the offensive line gelling the way it has is watching David Montgomery weave through defenders and looking for openings. He's had a couple of runs where he's kind of done on it's like a serpentine through the line, and all of a sudden, what looked to be a 2-yard gain turned out to be a 7, 8, 9, 10-yard gain, and that's been impressive because of his vision.
Yeah, like I said, just keep feeding David Montgomery. The yards after contact, him breaking tackles, he's everything that you wanted him to be. Use him. We've seen too many times that guys on this team, for whatever reason, don't get used. Cole Kmet, okay, you can make the excuse he was young and he's learning, but all of a sudden he's excelling with that, within Bill Lazor's scheme. So, like, for me, I want to also talk about Riley Ridley. I still feel like Riley Ridley should be out there, but things are different. We talked about Javon Wims being out there, for blocking purposes, and yeah, that's a necessity. If you have a big blocking receiver, put him out there, help your running back, help the game plan out. But why draft guys if you were never gonna use them? It's confusing. Some of the guys on the team, I'm like, why are you on the team? Why isn't somebody else on the team? But looking not going too far back in the past. Right now, David Montgomery's your identity. I'm pissed that the Bears took this long and Matt Nagy took this long to really be humbled by the failure of his ideas of the offense. I just feel like David Montgomery is going to be the guy that carries us. I really do. If we win a playoff game this year, if we get there, it'll be because David Montgomery he got us there, because he carried us on his back to get us there with these last 4 or 5 games.
I think you're right. We mentioned just a few moments ago, you did, Ivan, that Darnell Mooney broke a record for the most receptions by a Bears wide receiver in his rookie year. So this is I'm going to throw this question out to those listening in. If you can chat in the comments section, tell us whose record did Darnell Mooney break when he went over 42 or 43 receptions in the game against Minnesota. Whose record did he break? It was even before my time, Ivan. That record was set back in the early mid-50s, and I'm not going to give the answer away. Hopefully somebody will be able to answer correctly in the comments section. Getting back to, before we move ahead, but getting back to the Minnesota game, I think one of the things that I was mostly impressed with was, we have to remember that Minnesota was, they had everything to gain and plenty to lose, and they were fighting like hell to come back in that game. But in the second half, which has been a problem for the Bears offensively, every time Minnesota scored, the Bears came back with an answer, and that really impressed me.
Yeah, I liked how the offense responded after they didn't get too down, they didn't get dejected. They responded quickly. On the flip side, I didn't like how the defense responded at certain times. I just felt like, at certain points in the game, it was like a hot knife through butter for the Vikings offense, and they were just taking chunks of yards at will. I need some more motivation from the Bears defense. Like they've been playing even. Like they haven't been playing terrible, but some drives they look pretty bad. It's like, wow, where was the effort there? A couple of those Minnesota drives, I felt that way. But you got a bad team here today. I'm not gonna we can't say it enough that the Jacksonville Jaguars off of 13 straight losses. Was it 13 straight? You said, Mike?
That's correct. They've lost 13 straight.
13 straight losses. I would expect this to be a get right game for the defense, like a feel good game, a feel right, get right game. You have Mike Glennon that back there. I know that has to be some type of motivation.
I would think so, and we'll get into our the keys of the game. The Bears inactive list just came out, so we're gonna go over that. Then we'll have our keys to the game, history corner, and the pick is in right after we take a break and hear from our sponsor, Tick Splits.
I just heard my favorite band is in town. I'd love to get good seats, but everywhere I've looked, the ticket sites have crazy service fees.
Haven't you heard of TixSplits?
Who?
TixSplits. They don't gouge you with crazy fees. The price they advertise is the price you pay, plus a small delivery fee.
Never pay service fees again. Go to TIXBLITZ.com today. TixSplits.com. Guaranteed seats, low prices. That's TixSplits.com. Every ticket, every venue, everywhere.
And you can save 5% by using promo code SportsZone. All you got to do is enter that code right before you put your credit card information in. Save 5% on all your tickets at TixSplits.com, where you never pay a service fee. The Bears inactive list just came out. Buster and Jalen Johnson are still inactive. Latavius Simmons, who's been active just about all year long, Daniel McCullers, Riley Ridley, and Demetrius Harris, the tight end. So I would expect to see a lot of Cole Kmet this afternoon.
Yeah, I'd hope so, because I like how Cole's being brought up now. Every time he catches the ball, he's looking for contact, I feel like. He's more aggressive than I thought he'd be. After he catches the ball, and honestly, he's just been present. Like, he's been available. He's done his job well. It hasn't been like too flashy where you could go ahead and say, oh, he's the next whoever, Gronk or whatever great tight end. I just feel like he's doing everything right, and that's going to benefit him throughout his career. I feel like he's the guy that he's our Jason Witten in the making, if you will. I think he's going to be that reliable guy in the middle of the field for Mitch or whoever it is for the next maybe 10 years.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. So in our History Corner segment this morning, obviously we're playing the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm going to make it really brief because we've got still a lot to talk about with our keys to the game. The Bears lead the series 4-3. The last time they played, Jacksonville beat a very inept team, 17-16. The last time they played in Jacksonville, however, the Bears destroyed Jacksonville 41-3. So not a lot of history between these two teams, but one game that most people will remember is the last game of 2001. It actually should have been the second game of 2001, but because of 9/11, that game got pushed to the end of the year, and the Bears beat Jacksonville, and we had a pretty interesting interception return that almost went for a touchdown by a guy that weighs close to 400 pounds.
Yeah, Keith Traylor, that was a great run back. Like, I thought he was gonna get there. I was screaming in my basement. I remember there's a small little box TV, and I was sitting there, eating cereal, watching this happen, and I'm over there screaming. I wish he would have got there. That'd have been awesome to see him score. It would have been what? It'd have been 80 yards, over 80 yards.
Yeah,
if he would have got in.
It was over 80 yards.
And he had the entire defense as a convoy, and it was amazing. Whoever the Jaguars player that made the tackle, honestly, kudos to him, because he had to go through a bunch of Bears defenders trying to block Keith Traylor running down the sideline.
You're absolutely right. So now we're at the point of the show where we're going to go over our keys to the game, and the Bears they got to keep doing what they've been doing. I mean, the last three, even though they lost the first game of these last three, they've scored 30 points each and every game. So they just got to keep doing what they've been doing. So I'm trying to find my keys to the game here. All right. So the first key to the game is not to let up. Season is on the line for the Bears. They now control their own destiny, which when you get to the last 2 weeks of the season, if you have fate, you have destiny in your hands. You control whether or not you're going to make the preseason. All you have to do is win. That's exactly where the Bears want to be. Despite the fact that they lost 6 straight games and put themselves in the situation they put themselves in, their offense was terrible. But yet they still took New Orleans to overtime. They should have beat Detroit, but the defense let down. So you take those 2 games out of the mix and put them on the win column. The Bears, they're writing their own ticket. They've already clinched a playoff spot. But that's why you got to play every game to its fullest. You can't let up.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect them to. They came. Khalil Mack earlier in the week said that this can't be a game that we look past, no matter who is out there on the field. You have to find a way to get the victory. I don't like I said. You have a team on the ropes. A team that's pretty much down and out. This team's thinking about Trevor Lawrence. At least the front offices. As far as the guys in the locker room, I don't think they give a damn about Trevor Lawrence, and they're trying to upset you. So for me, do not overlook the Jacksonville Jaguars. Put them out early, and don't let up on the gas.
Absolutely right. Number 2, it's time for the offense to shine. Jacksonville is among the league's worst defense in both pass and run. So this is a time where the Bears really can fine-tune their offense heading into the last game of the year. One of the things that we talked about this on Hallentech Hall on Wednesday, and I forgot to mention it because I was looking it up, and then we got carried away with Lou. But one of the things I was concerned about was the weather in Jacksonville being too hot. But it's a perfect day. It's an absolutely perfect day for football. The temperatures right now are in the high 50s. It's only going to be in the 60s for the game, so we don't have to worry about the heat and humidity taking away from what the Bears do, which oftentimes northern teams going down to the southern teams this time of year can have an adverse effect. So they just need to do what they've been doing. Stay balanced, hit the open receiver, take what the offense gives them, and let Mitch do what he does best by rolling out, using his feet, getting some time, making some time to get the ball down the field.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the key. Is can this offensive line continue to do what it's been doing? Can Mitch, who has looked good, can he continue to do what he's been doing? I know there's going to be a big game next week, but like I said, today is today. Focus on the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I think the Bears are going to benefit from that. I think the Bears are going to, like I said, I mentioned it on Wednesday. I think the Bears are going to take this one handily.
Well, we can only hope so. We'll get to our picks in just a couple of minutes, but number 3, now that the Bears are seemingly on a roll, both offensively and defensively, they need to stay healthy. They need to stay healthy if they have any aspirations of advancing in the playoffs, first making playoffs and maybe winning a game. The way that the schedule kind of breaks down right now, if Seattle doesn't take over the top spot, Green Bay would have the bye week. New Orleans has a tiebreaker over the Seahawks, so they would be the number 2 seed. So the Bears would have to go down to New Orleans, and they've lost the last 2 games against the Saints, and they played terribly in both games. And if that's not motivation enough, I don't know what is. If the Bears can sneak past New Orleans, being the 7th seed, going into the second round, the divisional round of the playoffs, they would earn the right to come back to Green Bay and play the Packers. What do you have for the game?
I got Well, my thing is simple. Mine is it's very simple for the Chicago Bears. It's 1, 2, and 3. Win. Just win. That's it. Look, I got it. Look, number 2, win. Number 3, win. It's win, win, win. That's all I care about today. Like I said, you got a bad Jacksonville Jaguars team. They're looking to go somewhere else as a franchise. This is just, like these two games for Jacksonville are just in the way. Like, let's just say that. The last 2 games for the Jacksonville Jaguars are just in the way because they know they got something else on the horizon. The Bears need to just take care of business, Mike. It's a very simple type of week for in my eyes. I feel like win the football game, execute like you've been doing, run the football, don't stray away from what from what got you here. And that's exactly it. Running the football, taking care of the football, getting Mitch rolling out, getting him out of the pocket, and playing solid defense. Do that, and the game's yours. Do that, and the game it can be won. If you don't do that and you stray away and you try to go ahead and go, air raiding against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they go ahead and they catch some of your mistakes and they're going back, and now this is a different game and it's a closer game than we thought, then you're allowing opportunity. And I don't think the Bears need to do that with a team that doesn't deserve to be on the field with them. 13 straight losses. The team has been trading off pieces left and right. You have Mike Glennon, for Christ's sakes, back there. Go after it. Go after it. Just get the win, secure the win. Like you said, stay healthy, and then we can start talking seriously about that playoff game next week.
Man, 3 weeks ago, we never, ever thought that the Bears would be in a position to be talking where we're talking today about having destiny in their own hands. They can make the playoffs by just winning out. They can still make the playoffs with a little help if the Cardinals lose next week against the Rams, which is a distinct possibility because if the Rams go in and beat Seattle, they've got a chance to win the division.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to be fighting like hell to win that game too. So it's fun right now. And we didn't think we were going to have fun come the last Sunday of December, did we?
No, Michael. The middle of the season was just like going through hell, just to come out and to see that you still have a playoff spot open for you. It's on them. This is totally on the Chicago Bears. Do not come out in this game flat. If you're a coach on that team and you see a unit or a couple guys coming out flat today, you better bark at them. You better get in their ass because you cannot have a misstep. After all the missteps that we've seen this season, you cannot have a misstep now that you have the playoffs in your sights and you have your destiny in your hands. We can't have that. If the guys aren't motivated for this game, even though it's the Jaguars, if you're not up for this game, then you damn sure won't be up for the playoffs. And I don't know why, and the question will be, why are you on the team come next year?
Boy, that's a strong statement, but you're absolutely right. The Jacksonville's inactives, their star running back, James Robinson, is not playing today. We mentioned it earlier, but I didn't mention his name. They have a quarterback on their inactive list who I've never heard of, Jake Luton, Colin Johnson, a wide receiver, Luke Barco, a cornerback, Quincy Williams, a linebacker, Tyler Davis, tight end, and a defensive lineman by the name of Karan Reed are the Jacksonville inactives for today. So with that, it is time because the picks are in.
No, but let me upload it real quick. I had him sitting right here. My fault.
It's a live show, folks.
I had it like right here waiting to be uploaded, and I forgot the entire show.
Right. Wasn't it last Sunday where you were hungover?
Yes, it was.
While we're waiting for Ivan to load up the last.
We're good to go now.
The answer to the trivia question. Darnell Mooney broke a rookie record for the most receptions by a wide receiver. That wide receiver was Hall of Fame wide receiver Harlan Hill. So, Ivan, the picks are in, man. What you got? You're on mute again.
So, sorry. I keep seeing, you know what I mean? Like, am I hungover this week or was it last week? I don't know. It's carrying over. No, like we talked about with
a hangover if it's carried over.
Yeah, exactly. I'm getting old. You know, Luke and I talked about Luke and I talked about it yesterday. We talked about it with you on Wednesday as well. I think this one is a rout. I think this one's going to be very, very bad for the Jaguars. It's going to be very, very good for the Bears. No matter how you look at it, winning football games gives you motivation. It lifts your spirits. It brings you up. It gets you wanting that feeling again, wanting to win. So I feel like the Bears can regardless of who they're playing, can put up I really feel like they could put up a big number here today. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I think the Bears put up 40, and they beat the Jacksonville Jaguars 40-10.
A 40 burger from Ivan. Our dear friend out of Kansas City, Millie, also predicts the Bears are going to score 42-6. Millie,
me and Millie are right here. We're on the same page.
Millie, I hope you're right. Armando, Alex, if you got a score for us, throw them in the comments section so we can read them. We've got a couple of minutes left. We mentioned this on Wednesday. Jacksonville, despite losing 13 straight games, have only given up 40 or more points just once in their losing streak, and that was last week. So I don't know if they're going to be able to repeat that performance defensively, but I still have the Bears sustaining their streak of scoring 30 or more points, and I have the Bears on top 37-14 in today's game. So Armando's got 33-14 for the Bears. Alex, we're still waiting for you. There you go. 36-13. I'm assuming that's for the Bears. There you go. So, guys, thanks for listening in. Join us on Wednesday evenings from 6:30 to 8. We have our show called Halitech Hall. That show has been ongoing since May of last year. And if you follow Halitech Hall on Twitter, as soon as we get to 1,000 followers, our sponsor, TixBlitz, is going to give us 2 tickets to the home game for Chicago versus Green Bay in 2021. Hopefully by then we'll be able to attend games again. As soon as they're available to you, make sure you get your vaccines for COVID, because we want you around for now and for years to come, watching our shows. So, Ivan, any last words?
Win. Just win. Just win. That's all I care about. That's all I want to see, hear from here on out. Just win. Regardless of who's on the football field, win.
Absolutely. With that, thanks for watching Barely Pregame. We'll see you 6:30 Wednesday. And don't forget to catch the Basement Monsters after the game. And again, if we win, there's some guy that might want to come on. So you didn't send me the link last week.
Yeah, I'll send it over to you this week. But yeah, check me and Luke out on the Basement Monsters Game Day podcast right after this, and then halftime and post game.
I just heard my favorite band is in town. I'd love to get good seats, but everywhere I've looked, the ticket sites have crazy service fees.
Haven't you heard of TixBlitz?
Who?
TixBlitz. They don't gouge you with crazy fees. The price they advertise is the price you pay, plus a small delivery fee.
Never pay service fees again. Go to TIXBLITZ.com today. TixBlitz.com. Guaranteed seats, low prices. That's TixBlitz.com. Every ticket, every venue, everywhere.